Shalom, everybody. This is part five. I think I'm up to part five and sharing just different experiences that I've had as being targeted, as being, being stalked, dealing with, satanic attacks. And so I wanted to just, again, the idea that I put forth that that our Messiah, the Savior, okay, saving the righteous from this world, that he was targeted, okay, that he was a victim of gang stalking, that there were literally people who would gather themselves together and sit and plot and try to come up with ways that they could hurt him, with the ultimate goal of being to kill him. Okay? And remember I told you I watched the video where that fellow was saying that he felt that power of suggestion, that hate was so strong that he was literally saying that he had this fear of being kidnapped and murdered. Okay? Now I want to just read this to you. This is in the book of John. This is another chapter. This is chapter 12. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his master. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they kept my sayings, they will keep yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. He that hateth me hateth my Father also. But this cometh to pass, that the word might be fulfilled that is written in their law, they hated me without a cause. Okay, there it is. So many of us, okay, have experienced that feeling of just hate, where the hate vibe is so strong, it's almost palpable. I shared with you how I was at a bus stop, and it was so strong I didn't even know where it was coming from, but the only thing I could do was retreat and go in prayer and just praise the Almighty, and that feeling left. Okay. But we know that, and this, I think, is closer to the real reason why it might be happening for many of us. Okay, now I can't speak for everybody, and you and what you've dealt with. Okay, but when I look back over my life, realizing how long this has been going on, and being able to, like I said, having done a lot of like childhood recovery issues, I go back to where this really started and why. And I know that it goes back to this verse that I just read to you. Okay, but something else that I wanted to share and experience, but this is of a different nature, because sometimes going over a lot of these experiences, we start, talking about this happened and then this happened, and I mean, it can be depressing and it can be overwhelming in and of itself. But we know that, the Most High, our Almighty is a mighty Almighty. Okay, He is allowing us to go through these things, okay, to strengthen us, to give us experiences, so that we can relate to those who we meet, who are maybe not as far along on the path as we are, that we can be a support to them, that we can understand what they're talking about, what they're saying, okay, and not give them like some off the cuff, trite, trumped up words that we read in some booklet or something. That will be coming from a place of real experience. So I'm going to share the other side, because, as I pointed out many times, I, as a watching people, liking to paint portraits and draw portraits, which, I'm not very good at, but I still like to do it. I watch people, okay, and I observe people. And I'm going to share something that happened. This is a bit on the other side, but I was in a situation where these people were stalking me. It's a continuous, ongoing thing. But what had happened was there was an individual who was in this setting, okay, who was, when she came along, they did not like her, okay. But again, you're talking about sick people, okay, and they have no problem with throwing people under the bus. They have no problem backstabbing and hamstringing someone, undermining people, because that's just, they're drawn to that negative energy, and so they can do that, and without batting an eye, and they do it to one another. Okay, and again, some of the stuff is in people in or in these individuals' families. Okay, where they will do this to family members. Okay, so it's, so going out and doing it to a stranger, that's, please, oh, please, that's something they've been probably been doing since like they were in kindergarten or something. But this individual came into this setting, and they hated this woman. They treated this woman so bad. I remember watching sometimes when she would be crying, and I just, man, I felt, really, that moved me to a place of compassion. And it turns out there was a time period where she was doing a lot of crying and a lot of weeping. And I was like, wow. And I started talking to her, and she shared, what was going on. And it was pretty bad. It was a pretty heavy experience. And so someone who there was an individual who I suspected was a part of all this gang stalking, but I could never quite put my finger on it. I mean, because some of these people, they wear masks. They can shuffle those masks, and I mean, just, oh man, they are, some of these people. They're good at what they do. Okay, they know how to do it. When they talk about doing this stuff in the shadows, they they got it down pat. So this was someone who I could never quite. I suspected, but I could never really quite, like, just like blam, hit the nail on the head. But she was one of those who would, if I was correct in my assumption, what some people would call one of those crooked Christians. Okay, but were they, because some of them, you'll find these people, they're in churches, they're in the pulpits, they're in the church choirs. They could be the usher at the door, okay, wearing a mask. Walk, yeah, come on in, yeah, come on up to the front, yeah, yeah, we got Sunday school service, yeah, we got this and that and the other thing, and then come midnight, they are up there. How do you say, just, oh man, at the table, poking pins and needles and doing things by candlelight, just like the rest of them. I mean, that's how wicked, sicked they can be. But so this individual befriended this girl, and started, taking her to, different church functions and everything. And I was kind of like, ooh, because I wasn't sure about her. I just wasn't sure. I just was not sure about it, but I couldn't. I mean, I don't know, whatever. Um, but then all of a sudden, and I remember, I think I shared this in a few other videos, where I would befriend people, but within a day to a week to a month, some of these little, stalkers and perpetrators would be able to get to them, say whatever lies they were telling about me, but turn them against me or get them so that they started cold shouldering me and ignoring me or whatever. Well, this is what happened with her. She was someone who I had, been, supportive of and listened to, and just, because she was dealing with some really hard issues. Well, I hadn't seen her for a while. Found myself in a situation where she was there, and this girl was giving me, you want to talk about a hate stare, but there was a smugness to it, okay? Like she knew something that I didn't know, and she had me, and I was just over a barrel, and she was just, I mean, it was just really something else. I mean, to the point that finally, I said, is there something going on? Why are you looking at me like that? Is there something you want to tell me? Oh, no, I'm not looking at you. Well, yeah, you were. I mean, not trying to pick a fight or anything, but this is the thing, is like, we don't have to be jellybacks. We don't have to be noodlebacks. Okay? I'm not saying go out and be confrontational and get in fights and stuff and start accusing, but okay, you're someone who I've had friendly conversations with. I haven't seen you for a while. Now you come back around and you're giving me these hate stares, looking at me sideways. Is there something you want to say? He said, "Oh, no, 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 everything's fine, everything's fine. Oh, okay, I ain't got no problem. No, oh, no, it's all good." Okay. Then she tried to come back around and again try. I'm really, I really didn't wasn't looking at you really anyway. I don't know. And I was just like, yeah, you were, but it's okay. You do what you need to do. But if you ever want to come and talk to me, you know, I'm here. And I left it at that. And didn't see her for a while. Saw her again, and she was. This is someone who had drug problems. and alcohol problems. And she was drinking, a lot of drinking, and I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. And she was hanging out with this person, a couple of these people, okay, who I knew. One of them I wasn't sure about, but the other ones I knew they were no, they had already done some things to me and said some things, and so I knew that they were not, you know, friendly people. Okay, and this is who she was now running with. So of course it was no surprise that she had started to give me like this, the stink eye, because she had been sitting up there listening to them, eating from their table. Let me put it that way. And so I didn't see her for a while, and then I saw her again, and all of a sudden I hear she's been arrested. And no, wait a minute. First, they had put her in some type of a mental health thing, and they had given her some medication that when she was diagnosed with something, and she needed to stay on her meds. Got off her meds, was trying to self medicate with drugs and alcohol, ended up being caught shoplifting. I mean, really in a bad situation. Her child was taken from her because when she was arrested, the child was with her. She went to jail. The child can't go to jail. They called like a child protective services or whatever. The child was taken. I mean, this is the situation. Okay, that happened as a result. Okay, and then I remembered, okay, how they had originally, these same people who had been stalking me and doing me nasty and saying nasty things about me and giving me their hate vibe, how they had overtly been doing it to her. I mean, just calling her all kinds of foul names, all outside of her names, bitch this, and all kinds of things. Befriended her for a moment, and what happens when you're friends with people? What do they? What is? I had already shared with you in other videos where I noticed that they want to become friends with you so that you let your guard down. When you let your guard down, bam! It's easier for them to stick that knife in, and that's exactly what they did to her. Okay, so while they were sitting up there distracting her with about how we don't like this one, she this and she all that, and hating on me, she's buying into it, and all of a sudden starts giving me a hate vibe. Lo and behold, they come right back around. Boomerang gets her in the back of the head. She's ends up being diagnosed with a mental health illness, falls back into drug addiction, loses her child. That's the kind of stuff that those are other experiences that I've had, in terms of dealing with them. It's just witnessing them destroy other people's lives and destroy one another's lives. Okay, I've noticed that also, where they will, when it comes to dealing with one of their victims, they can be just like, it's like they're in just like sync. It's sort of like synchronicity. But other than that, the people that I've noticed, their lives are horrible. These people are just their lives are shambles. Okay, and I don't know. Again, like I said, it was a verse. I think it's in verse. I want to say it's in Psalms. I want to say Psalms. It's like one, no, 68, 70. I'm gonna see if I can find it here real quick. But where he talks about that they're put in slippery places. I can find it. I know I can find it. Can I find it? I think I can find it. Let's see. Yes, I found it. Okay, here we go. This is Psalm 73. This is a song of Asaph. Okay, what is it he says? And speaking about the corrupt, the ungodly, the wicked. Until, okay, it says, and he talks about in this, if you read this whole psalm, what he talks about is how there was a time where he was almost envious of these people, okay, because of everything that he saw them get. Well, let me just read this to you. Okay, truly Elohim is good to Israel, even to such as are of a clean heart. But as for me, my feet were almost gone, my steps had well nigh slipped, for I was envious at the foolish, when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore pride compasseth of them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. They are corrupt, and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. Therefore his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. And they say, how doth Elohim know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly, who prosper in the world, they increase in riches. Verily I have cleansed my heart in vain, and washed my hands in innocency. For all the day long have I been plagued and chastened every morning. If I say, I will speak thus, behold, I should offend against the generation of thy children. When I thought to know this, it was too painful for me, until I went into the sanctuary of the Most High. Then understood I their end. For surely thou didst set them in slippery places, thou castedst them down into destruction. How are they brought into desolation, as in a moment? They are utterly consumed with terrors. Okay, so if you can understand that what he's saying is that when you see them, okay, especially if you're in a vulnerable place and you're being attacked by these people and you're aware of it, they seem like, they've got it together. They've got they've got all this power, they've got this access, they've got this privilege, they got friends over here that's helping them out, they got friends over here, they're really connected, it's real organized, and I can't do nothing, man. I can't even keep a firewall on my computer because they can hack it down, man. And I saw one video, I saw the title of it, I didn't watch the video. Maybe I will, maybe I'll go back and watch it right now. But where this guy was talking about how he was going to join stalkers because he was just fed up. Like, what in the world? Which is what Asaph is saying right here. That he thought about this. That he said his feet almost slipped thinking about these people and all the riches that they have and now how it seems like they're not held accountable. But he said he went into the sanctuary of the Most High. He goes, and then did I see how thou, speaking to the Most High, puts them in slippery places. Let me read that one more time. Until I went into the sanctuary of the Most High, then understood I their end. Surely thou didst set them in slippery places. Slippery places. So when they're sitting up here, got all this contact, doing all this, what is it's a universal law. You reap what you sow. So that means that right there puts them in a slippery place. You're sitting up here hacking into people's computers, vandalizing people's car, terrorizing and terrifying people, breaking into their homes, okay? Doing things, moving their furniture around, okay? Spraying pesticides that actually have pests in them to contaminate their homes. You're doing all this stuff to people. A universal law is that you reap what you sow. So that means that you've pretty much just set yourself up to have your house vandalized, broken into, have infestation in your home, be lied on, be terrorized and terrified. And generally, when you reap what you sow, it's usually triple fold, fivefold, sevenfold, tenfold. Can you see how that's a slippery place? And these people are sitting up here doing it, so committed to this flesh, to what is seen, okay? And having no concept about eternity, which is not seen. No concern, or at least it's muted down and dumbed down, okay, in terms of what's going to be, they're going to be dealing with on an eternal level. That's a slippery place. And anyone with even a drop of logic or intelligence would want no part of that. Okay, shalom.